Hello and welcome to our introductory video on Meteor for iPad. Meteor is a multi-track recorder allowing up to 12 tracks of audio with dedicated effects processing. During this video, I'm going to go over some of the basic features, and then I'm going to highlight some of the features which are unique to Meteor. Every project you create has its own audio pool. Each time you make a recording or import an audio clip, they are stored in the audio pool. We use the audio pool to preview recordings and drag recordings into the track view. In this case, I'm going to drag this pre-recorded clip onto track 7. You can drag whole clips, or you can make a selection and drag the selection onto the track view. At the left of each track are the mute, solo and arm buttons. The arm button is used to select the recorded track. You can toggle the display between mute, solo and volume pan, and you can make quick adjustments to the mix directly from track view. Alternatively, we have a dedicated mixer page. To record audio, simply select the arm button that corresponds to the track you wish to record, press the record button, and then press play. You can punch in and out by pressing the record button again. You can always use the metronome to count you in. In this case, I'm selecting the metronome for play and record and selecting a 1-bar counting. And again, we can drop in and out of the recording at will just by pressing the record button. And now to the fun stuff, effects. As you can hear, I have a simple loop of 5 tracks. I'm going to add a compressor to track 2, the strings, and demonstrate something called sidechaining. For this example, I'm going to mute everything but the first 2 tracks, bass drum and strings. I'm now going to assign a compressor to track 2. And I can do this in the effects assignment dialog. To use sidechaining, you must insert the compressor as an insert effect. Now if I switch to effects rack view, I can make changes to these effects. In order to enable sidechaining, I need to select a track which is to drive the compressor. In this case, I've added the compressor to track 2, the strings, and I'm using the bass drum on track 1 to drive the compressor. Now all I need to do is tweak the settings to get that pumping effect. Another great feature in Meteor is track automation. If I unmute this vocal line, and you listen carefully, you'll hear the track pan from left to right when it reaches the end of the loop. We can perform automated panning and volume changes using the controller lane. Tap the arm button to select a track, and then tap again to open the controller lane. Now select the pen tool and drag your finger over the controller lane. I'm now going to select pan from the controller menu and use the ruler to get more accurate drawing. You probably also noticed on the controller menu that we can send automation to the 3 global send effects, and each track can route a proportion of its sound through these send effects. You can apply up to 3 insert effects per track But if you did so, you'll bring the CPU to an abrupt halt. Not even the latest Intel Core i7 could handle that. Meteor has a number of ways to get around this problem, and the simplest of which is to make use of the Freeze Insert Effects button in the controller lane. Pressing the Freeze Effects button pre-renders a track with all its effects already added, which reduces the burden on the CPU. So in theory, you could have 12 tracks, all with 3 insert effects. That's 36 effects, all without any burden on the CPU. Meteor also has 3 global sound effects channels. You can route a proportion of each track's audio through these global sound effects. Typically, you'd have a reverb, maybe a sync delay and a chorus assigned to these 3 global effects. Another CPU-friendly way of applying effects is during the recording process. And you can even apply effects in the sample editor after the tracks have been recorded. So let's take a look at freeze effects and how to use them. As you can see, track 2 consists of 2 clips placed end on end. After pressing the freeze button, you can see that the 2 clips have been merged into a single locked track. When a track is locked, it prevents you from editing that track. Any modifications made to effects on that track will not be heard until the track is unlocked. To unlock a track, simply press the Freeze Effects button again and it will return to its previous state. The sample editor is an important part of Meteor. It allows you to import samples from a global sample directory which you could create yourself, and also import songs from your iPod library. To give you a basic idea of what can be accomplished using the editor, I'm going to load one of these drum loops and apply an effect. To do this, I first need to make a selection. So I'm going to select the first half of the waveform and hit the Apply Effect dialog. In this case, I can simply tweak the delay to get the desired effect, then press the Apply button. But if that wasn't the effect I wanted, I could pick new effects from the drop-down list. At this point, it might be worth pointing out that Meteor has a built-in shop for in-app purchases. This will allow you to purchase additional effects as and when they become available. Before we leave the editor, there's another feature which I'd like to show you. So let's make an edit to this wave and reverse the selection of the sample. And the reason for doing that is to point out Meteor's multi-level undo feature. Another handy feature worth noting is the backup and restore feature, which can be accessed through the Project Explorer. Simply click on a project and hit the backup button, and your project will be compressed into a single file which can be backed up to your PC or Mac. Meteor also supports mixdown to uncompressed WAV and CAF formats, as well as mixing down to 2 tracks, kind of a bounce feature, which will come in handy if you run out of tracks. Another very important feature, which I haven't mentioned up to now, is that Meteor supports the global pasteboard, which allows you to paste audio data between apps. You can paste audio from the pasteboard directly into the editor window, which will then be available in your audio pool. You can copy a completed song or a loop from the track view, or even a recording directly from the sample editor, directly to other packages via the pasteboard. Have fun with the program and keep an eye out for other tutorial videos which will be coming your way shortly. On behalf of 4Pockets, thank you for watching.